is in really tight with the Trump family. He knows what's going on. He's got his fingers on the pulse. Andrew Surabian, are we going to win this election in November?
Kurt, thanks so much for having me today, buddy. And we are going to win this election. And the reason we're going to win this election is because the American people are going to see Joe Biden at the end of the day for what he truly is, an empty vessel controlled by the radical left-wing mob ravaging this country right now. And when the American people can see for their own eyes who Joe Biden really is and not the fake the fake Joe Biden that the mainstream
the old I'll have a beer with Joe Biden, that guy who's long gone, replaced by a creepy weirdo in a basement.
Middle class Joe stopped being middle class Joe the second he and his son Hunter sold out to China and Xi. So when the American people see Joe Biden for what he really is, and they will see him for what he really is, and they see that he's an empty vessel, and they see he is literally controlled by the radical left wing in his party, this is going to end up being a big victory for President Trump when all is said and done.
Now, as a retired Army colonel, I know a little about classified material and keeping things secret, but I'm going to ask you, is the strategy for the president, who has been remarkably gentle to Joe Biden so far in Trumpian terms, is the strategy to wait till September when they have nominated him, locked in Joe Biden, and people are beginning to become aware of the election, and then to unload on his manifest mental decline? Is that the idea?
So Kurt, I think I think you would actually notice that the campaign and the president himself over the past few weeks have already started turning the heat up on Joe. I do think there was this idea that, you don't want to go too soon. But I think we have now reached that point in this election where it's time to start taking the machete to Joe and to start exposing him to the American people. You've been seeing President Trump hit him more and more. You've been seeing all the talk about the mental acuity of Joe Biden. You've been seeing more talk about how Joe Biden, at the end of the day, he portrays himself as a moderate. But who does he have basically write his climate plan? AOC. Who is he praising as somebody he would find a spot in his administration for if elected? Elizabeth Warren. Are AOC and Elizabeth Warren moderates? Of course they're not. These are the people who will be in control if Joe Biden is elected. And as that gets exposed, the American people will take a hard turn on Joe.
Andy Surabian, I think the president is also going to have an aspirational aspect to this, where he talks about law and order. Here's what Joe Biden said about federal law enforcement. He said they're brutally attacking peaceful protesters in Portland, stoking the fires of division. Holy cow. He's siding with the bad guys.
Take a step back, Kurt, and just think about how amazing it is that the nominee for a major party's presidential nomination isn't even willing to condemn people who are openly breaking the law, who are burning down federal courthouses, who are causing crime sprees throughout the nation. So when we talk about how Joe Biden is no longer middle-class Joe, he's no longer Union Joe, he's now sold out to the radical left, this is what we mean. The Democrat Party of 20 years ago, Kurt, even 10 years ago, would have come down hard against this type of lawlessness. But they have gone so far to the left that they're now openly embracing the lawlessness.
Andrew Surabian, what we see is here at home, the Democrats, led by Joe Biden, are opposing our cops, but overseas they're making excuses for our enemies. Let's listen to cut number 28. Get your reaction.
Look what he's doing now. He's blaming everything on China. He's blaming everything on the Chinese. He's blaming everything, and people don't make a distinction, as you well know, from a South Korean and someone from Beijing. They make no distinction. It's Asia. And that's the way he's just using it as a wedge.
Wow.
Wow.
There's so many levels to that.
That's the first time I heard that clip, Kurt.
Amazing, huh?
I'm taken aback by what I would say racist comments coming from Joe.
Hold on, wait. Something racist coming from Joe Biden?
Something racist coming from Joe Biden.
Wait, what?
I mean, who would have thought that Democrats can be racist. I mean, the media tells us that's impossible, but what do you know? No. I listened to those comments, and I'm not surprised at all, because Joe Biden is the guy who, during the Obama administration, said on the record in public, and he wasn't ashamed to say it, that China is no threat to us. China is a friend. Joe Biden spent 40 years in the United States Senate and then as vice president, allowing China to make their rise. Joe Biden is part of the reason that the American middle class has been sucked dry and sent packing over to Beijing. Okay? So it should come as no surprise that he's now carrying water for Xi in the CCP.
Is Joe Biden, when that creepy old weirdo gets out of his basement, going to have to explain his son Hunter's that coke snorting, stripper impregnating weirdo, his deep connections to China?
Well, what I find so interesting is that, listen, maybe if Hunter Biden wasn't on the VP's plane when he went to China to go cut some of his deals, maybe he wouldn't have to explain it. But I think because of that, he has no choice but to explain it. China, as you know, Kurt, is probably the biggest geopolitical threat the United States have. The Biden family is uncomfortably close to China. They're always going out of their way to cover for them. That's why he attacks Trump for using phrases like the China virus, because he wants to make clear that, unlike Donald Trump, he'll take a knee to Xi, because he wants them to know that he'll be their guy. Okay? Donald Trump isn't China's guy. Donald Trump certainly isn't Chairman Xi's guy. He's their worst nightmare.
He certainly is. Between sanctions, throwing out the consulate in Houston, which I think is long overdue, Donald Trump has disrupted the comfortable relationship between our establishment and the Red Chinese. The fact is they've been revealed. Donald Trump's opposition has revealed them as the enemy they are, and the Democrats are siding with them.
Yeah, it's funny. China calls themselves, a communist country, but it's actually a corporatist fascist country. And, the Democrat Party is seemingly now fine with that. The same Democrat Party that used to care so much about human rights doesn't have much to say now about China's constant human rights abuses. Is there a bigger abuser of human rights in the world than China? Probably not. And how often do you ever hear Democrats calling that out? Isn't it interesting, Kurt, that the only people you ever hear calling that out are Republicans, people like Donald Trump, people like Josh Hawley. Those are the people standing up to the CCP. Those are the people who are standing up for human rights, not Joe Biden, not Elizabeth Warren, not AOC. They're A-okay with the human rights violations because they're A-okay with the system as it is. They want China to continue sucking America dry. It's part of the establishment's plan to weaken America, bring us to our knees economically, and that's what the Democrat Party is offering in 2020.
Now, Andrew Surabian, there are some Republicans, I call them the Ahoy crowd, the conservative cruise ship crew, who say they support conservative values, and when Donald Trump puts them in, because he's been the most conservative president since Ronald Reagan, they oppose him. And their usual thing is, well, he's rough, he's tumble, he tweets mean things, and I point you to my town hall column today, which is brilliant, if I say so myself.
It's a great column. I just read it.
Enough whining about Trump's mean tweets. Can we count on the president not to listen to the advice of people to be another Mitt Romney, to be a gentleman loser?
Listen, the last thing the Republican Party needs is another Republican who allows the media and the Democrats to walk all over them. Why do you think the media attacks the president so much for sticking up for themselves? Because they hate the fact that there's finally a Republican willing to say, you know what, you guys are wrong. I'm not accepting your narrative. I'm rejecting your narrative. And not only am I rejecting your narrative, I'm going to punch you right back. Okay? They're not used to that. They're used to Republicans like Mitt Romney who get attacked, get destroyed, and sit there with a little meek smile on their face, take it. That's what they want, and unfortunately for them, Donald Trump will never do that. He'll never be that guy. Donald Trump will stand up to the media. He'll stand up to the Democrats. He's been doing it. He'll stand up to the financial elite. He'll stand up to the system, and that's why the system is coming for them, because they're sick and tired of having a president who isn't on their side. And it tells you everything you need to know that Wall Street, that the media, that the establishment class in Washington all can agree on one thing. They don't want Donald Trump to be president anymore.
Andrew Surabian?
I want a president who those three groups don't want.
Exactly. And I think, and we only have about 15 seconds, I think there are a lot of people out there not telling pollsters they support the president. Does the internal polling support that?
It does. It does. There's some shy Trump voters out there, and they're going to be coming out strong on November 3rd.
I can't wait. Thank you, Andrew Surabian. This is Kurt Schlichter, guest hosting for Hugh Hewitt. Stick around.